How much should a unique card cost? What is a fair price for singles? How is it related to box prices and EV? Discussions coming up. Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Hank from Wizards Den, and you are watching Sorcery TCG News. Today, we are going to talk about singles prices in relevance to the box prices and to the equivalent value of a box, which is commonly referred to as EV. Here's the agenda for today. First, I will explain the concept of EV and various details regarding it. Then, I will talk about how to estimate singles prices, show calculation results in singles prices versus box price, and finish with my closing comments. First, let's talk about the definition of EV. EV is the value of a booster box calculated by summing all the cards' values in a box using singles prices. As all the boxes will be different, it typically uses average singles price per each rarity and take the sum. This value is one of the important key metrics often used to make decisions on pricing or purchase decisions of a single or sealed box. Now, one thing I need to emphasize is that not all the cards are actually included when calculating the EV. Bulk cards, which are the ordinaries and exceptionals, are not included in the calculation of EV. Well, you can, but it's going to be a useless metric when considering correlation. These cards typically do not correlate strongly to the box price due to its sheer volume. As the supply is typically on the oversupply side, the price typically becomes fixed to a value, not correlated to the box price. In Sorcery, only rarities above elites will be accounted for when calculating the EV. Now, there are two different EVs that can be used as a metric. An EV that includes all cards above elites, which includes foils, and an EV that only deals with non-foil cards only. Technically, the first one is the correct EV, but the second one also becomes an important metric due to the nature of foil cards. To the contrary to bulk cards, these cards are extremely limited in Sorcery. When the sample size becomes too small compared to the total volume of cards, the cards' price tend to become outliers of the statistical spread. The result is that the EV, which includes foils, may result in values that is far beyond the box price and becomes unusable as a price metric depending on the market maturity. In some cases, non-foil EVs might be a better metric for evaluating box values and single prices. Also, there is a specific price dynamic that will make the non-foil EVs more important. As you all know, collecting foils would require opening many boxes. What some foil collectors will do is they open the boxes, take out the foils, and dump the non-foil cards in the open market. They'll do this to raise capital for buying more boxes, repeating the cycle enough to get enough foil cards so they can finish the set by trading the cards. To reduce the loss from this cycle, they would like to sell the non-foils at a price that makes the cost base free. Of course, the box price will increase due to this box consumption dynamic, and single prices will readjust, but this is some of the price dynamic that can be expected in the early stage of maturity of the Sorcery secondary market. Adding this, as these collectors will not be dumping their foils, the market will mostly be dominated by non-foil cards, and as a result, these cards becomes the basis of cost calculation metrics. This is why I believe that in early stages of market maturity, the non-foil EV will likely be a better metric to evaluate the single prices. As a summary, here's the takeaway of the relationship between EV, box price, and singles price. Value of the box will have a time-dependent correlation factor with the EV. In the early stages of market maturity, I would guess that box prices will track EV very closely, but as time passes and the quantity of sealed boxes becomes depleted, there will be observable price gaps between the two due to the change in correlation factor. Up till now, I covered the overview of the basics of EV and the correlation it has with box prices. What people would like to know is what kind of price range we expect to see when the EV strongly tracks the box prices. Why? Because that is when the singles price will be at the highest. In order to calculate this, we first need to estimate the relative values of each rarity. Then we calculate the relative values of each rarity to a box and finally multiply that by the box price, which will give answers to the single price when EV equals the box price. There are two ways we can set relative values: by total print run and by inclusion rates. The first one is pretty straightforward. We know the set composition, so we know how many cards are printed for each rarity. So we simply set the value of each card ratio to the print run itself. For example, there are 2.4 times more elite cards than the unique cards. So the relative value of a unique can be set as 2.4 times the value of elites. Second one is by comparing the probability of pulling each rarity from a box. For example, 1 out of 5 booster packs will include a unique card. This means a unique card is 4 times as rare to an elite card, so you set the value of unique 4 times that of an elite. The first print run based metric is more accurate as a whole, but there are cases where the second metric becomes handy when calculating prices based on probability of pulling a specific card, but I will not go into this detail about this. Just as a reminder, these calculations do not factor the actual content of the card and only compares how rare the cards are on average. So, as I explained some basic methods for estimating relative values of each rarity, let me show you some calculation results. Here's a table that shows card values of different rarities with varying calculation methods. There are 4 columns that results from using 2 different EV calculation methods and 2 different relative value calculation methods. For the EV calculation, a case where everything above elites are accounted and a case where only non-foil elites and uniques are accounted are considered. For each of the cases, relative value calculation based on print runs and rarity inclusion rates are considered. When either EV tracks the box prices, the average singles price will become close to these values. This is a plot of the singles price versus box price when non-foil EV and box price match for different rarities. I'm showing the non-foil EV as 1, that is the worst case scenario for resulting in the most expensive singles prices, and 2, I strongly suspect this might correlate more to the singles market price due to the supply dynamic caused by the foil collectors. The shaded area shows the range of prices resulting from the 2 different relative value estimation method. Currently, an average box price is around $500. This results in the unique cards to be somewhere around $28 and elite cards to be around $9. Now, having said that, should a Philosopher's Stone price around $28? I do not think so. I would estimate it would be above $100. These cards become a different tier of rarity due to its iconic nature. Just like I explained in the foils, these cards becomes a tier on its own for the unquestionable demand present. However, I would think on average, the card prices should be around what is shown here. If it is higher than this, that means the EV is higher than the box price. If EV becomes higher than the box price, then either the box price will increase or the singles price readjust to market conditions. Here's a similar plot for foils. As explained before, foil cards will likely not track these values strongly and will likely overshoot these values easily due to the extremely limited supply. As a closing comment and summary, I want to re-emphasize that some cards will be priced higher than that shown in the plots. The plot I showed are average, and we will certainly have cards that shoot way off charts. Also, only 7% of total backers have received the cards yet, and the price will be extremely high due to limited supply. So expect some high-priced singles at this moment. But let me just assure you, $10,000 on a non-foil Philosopher's Stone is not going to stick. I'll be tracking EVs and reporting various metrics frequently in this channel from now on, as the secondary market is officially open. My updates will include not only EVs, but also advice on whether to buy sealed boxes or singles depending on the completion ratio of your collection, based on good old statistics. So if you want updates on these market news, make sure to subscribe. So that's it for today's episode. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for future episodes regarding sorcery. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a great game.